Hey, and welcome to another installment of Catching Up with Chris, Jake, and Sam. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
And,
we have Starbucks.
We have Starbucks. That's
right.
It's delicious. It's that time of the year again. We are deep in what Ray Bradbury would call October Country, which is where he got the idea for his book, October Country. You know, that time of the year where everything kind of gets a little spookier, the air gets a little colder.
Or spoopier if you're on the internet. It's a thing. Look it up.
Fine, I'll Google it later. But yeah, you know, the nights get longer, the leaves start to fall, and trees start to look more skeletal
All
and creepy.
the white college girls get pumpkin spiced everything.
I have a pumpkin spice latte. So
I said white college girls.
You covered your bases there. Yeah, you know, the storefront shops start to show stuff that I like, which is to say pumpkins and skeletons and big scary things.
Or big Wyatt Earp looking statues in an ABC store.
That always so the if anybody lives in Centerville, there's an ABC store by the Outback there.
In the Colonnade Shopping Center.
That has like a first, honest to God, the ABC store has this white plaster statue. And I thought it was fucking Colonel Sanders. And I was like, why the fuck is KFC, man?
There is a KFC in the Colonnade.
Yeah. He's extending his reach into...
Did he? I think so.
Not really, but...
No.
Did you say No, you said Outback. Never mind.
Yeah. But, yeah, why...
Maybe you guys should listen to the podcast while we're doing it.
Right, yeah. Kind of, sort of. So, Chris, you've actually watched 2 movies since the last podcast, haven't you?
Yeah.
The Equalizer and Gone Girl.
Yes.
More specific.
Yeah. I responded that. I was like, yes, I have. What did I see? Like, I remembered Gone Girl because it was just yesterday that I saw it.
Sure, yeah.
But I was like, Sam's right. There is another one. And what the hell was it? Yeah, it was The Equalizer. So, let me geek out on Gone Girl first, just because...
I saw your Facebook post about
it's the
it.
better of the 2 films.
In my personal opinion, it was the better one, and it was. I had read the book, air quotes, because I listened to the audiobook, but whatever.
Yeah, it's straight from the text.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't abridged or anything like that, and actually, it was really cool.
Did a famous actor read it, or was it like a
not
voice
that I
actor?
remember? Not I don't remember recognizing the actors' names
Because the voice actors, like, just real quick, just to piggyback on the audiobook thing, I'm listening to the Jack Reacher series, and I don't know if the same guy reads all the books. I hope he does, but he does a thing where sometimes they don't change their voice. This guy changes his voice for every single character, and that has to be like confusing and crazy. And he's so good at like dialects and just different like ways with his voice for different characters. So I don't know. Did they do that in the Gone Girl?
Well, kind of. Just real quick, because something you said reminded me of something.
We're just gonna keep piggybacking on each other.
Just real quick, because I want to say my piece about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So I love that book series, and I recently got all the audiobooks for it, and it's all read by Douglas Adams, except for the last book, the unofficial Hitchhiker's Guide, because that was done posthumously.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't have been able to read it. But he does a great job with the voices, too. Like, you'd think that he was a voice actor, and he's a writer, So that was really cool. And if you haven't done that, check out the audiobooks for Hitchhiker's Guide.
How many are there?
There's 5 official books, 5 that he wrote.
Okay.
The 5th one is kind of sad and depressing. But, that's where he was in his life at that time. But the other 4 are great.
Did you know who does the audiobook for the British?
Oh, yeah. Stephen Fry.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah,
cool.
actually, our friend Jen, well, your sister's friend Jen and my friend Jen.
Sure. Now she thinks I hate her.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you probably do.
Yeah.
Because you hate everyone.
Damn right.
And I'll do it again.
People see Sam Stone walking down the street, and they're like, that's Sam Stone. He hates everyone.
He likes girls, and he hates everyone. What?
Yes.
Yeah. They're not mutually exclusive. Continue, even though they are.
But yeah, she had me track down, because I'm really good at finding things on the internet. She had me track down the Hitchhiker, or the Harry Potter British audiobooks, because her boyfriend at the time was not able to find anything other than the American ones, where it's a different voice actor. It's an American voice actor. I forget who it is, but subpar, because he said the Sorcerer's Stone instead of Philosopher's Stone.
It's a deal breaker in some circles.
So, Gone Girl.
In
the audiobook for Gone Girl. Anyone who doesn't know the story, I'm going to try to keep it spoiler free, because I want you guys.
Oh, I want to see it. Yeah.
I want the 2 of you to enjoy it. And there are some things, like, I can only really talk about the first half of the story, because
just the premise.
Yeah, there's a huge thing that happens basically at the halfway point that you need to be there experiencing the story either by book or by movie to really appreciate it. I don't want to ruin that for you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Much obliged.
but so half of the story, the story begins with this woman Amy Dunn, who is married to Ben Affleck's character Nick Dunn. Amy Dunn goes missing. And
She is the titular Gone Girl.
yes, she is
She
the girl
goes
who is
gone.
gone.
Okay.
So that's where it starts, and every chapter it switches points of view between two characters. There's Nick Dunn's stories, or Nick Dunn's chapters, where it talks about what is happening as of the moment where she goes missing. So, like, each chapter is like 1 day gone, 2 day gone, whatever the increments are. And then the opposite chapters are excerpts from a journal of Amy's that's found while the police are investigating. And it's basically little bits of their backstory, like how they met, how they started dating, when they got married, they met in New York City, but now they live in some place near St. Louis, Missouri. It's some small town. I forget the name, but
Outside of St. Louis, I feel like all of Missouri is small town.
yeah, I'm sure it is. And like it explains why they moved from New York to Missouri, because that's where he's from, and his mom got sick, and both of them got laid off at their respective jobs, so they didn't really have anywhere to go. So they're like, all right, fine, let's go take care of Mama Dunn. Of course, like during the course of the investigation, like everyone's pointing their fingers at Nick, and Nick's like, I didn't do shit. Why does everyone think I did? He's going nuts. He has a twin sister who's like freaking out. And
Do we get to see Jen Affleck?
No, it's not Jen Affleck.
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't recognize the girl who was playing his twin sister, but she did a great job. Every single actor, just to get back to the synopsis, that's about as much as I'm comfortable blurting out without giving too much away. And I might go in, talk little bits here and there when I get to like the actors and stuff like that, because I think everyone was casted perfectly in this. Like Ben Affleck did an amazing job, and
It was originally supposed to be Christian Bale.
that would have not been as good, in my opinion. Like I like, Christian Bale's an intense actor and he gets into his roles, but like I think we needed someone with a little bit more of that like small town boy charm, and I don't think Christian Bale has that.
Well, something I feel about like Ben Affleck's more recent performances, starting probably with like, I don't know, The Town. Mm-hmm. He always kind of has like a world-weary kind of element to him, like almost like he's subdued and tired.
Yeah, and that's what Nick Dunn needed, not Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, because he is Bruce Wayne.
That's why I was
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah.
Well, so is Christian Bale.
True.
And I think
And Michael Keaton.
That was the joke.
that was the joke.
Birdman.
I'm glad that Affleck's like getting all this recognition, and really just, I don't know, because I don't feel like he ever, like, all of a sudden he became this great actor. I think he always was. Mm-hmm. There was just this period where you make some bad movies. I actually just recently rewatched Jersey Girl, and I know that, like, whenever Kevin Smith talks about the movie, like, that's his two go-to, like self-deprecating things are Cop Out and Jersey Girl. Cop Out's not a good movie. But I like Jersey Girl. It was, I've seen it a couple times, and it's funny because he makes some reference to the Batmobile in Jersey Girl. Yeah. About driving the Batmobile. But
I think the only reason why Jersey Girl wasn't like a huge success was that it was like the quote unquote the first Kevin Smith movie that wasn't like a Jay and Silent Bob movie.
Askew.
Yeah, and people weren't ready for that.
It was also coming off this kind of weird.
Oh, the Geely.
Yeah, it was. I think it predated Geely, but it could. I could be wrong.
I think it did as well.
Wasn't like Geely what got Ben Affleck and J-Lo together, and then Jersey Girl was what split them apart.
But they shelved Geely for a while.
Did they?
And they brought it out when they became an item, because they became an item after the fact. Because I think they were both seeing other people.
Oh, okay.
And
I always heard that it was supposed to be Bruce Willis. The whole Will Smith thing. It was supposed to be Bruce Willis. Because I think they were going to kind of play on the fact that, like, he can't be a musician or vice versa, the actor musician or TV star into movie star, kind of how they have the musician into like blockbuster actor or whatever. And so when he meets Will Smith at the end, I think originally it was supposed to be Bruce Willis, which is kind of interesting now. I wonder how that all would have turned out with
Bruce
Kevin
Willis
Smith.
does have an album out.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know. That's
The
what they
Return
would
of Bruno.
Yeah, they would have. Yeah, whoever wanted their return. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the movie.
Yeah.
I'm a huge David Fincher fan.
Oh
yeah.
my God,
he's great.
He has proved himself several times over that he can adapt a book well. With Fight Club, with a Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. I mean, granted, I can't really speak that well for it because I never read the book, but I did see the Swedish movie, which everyone was like, "Oh, they did a great job." And I think that he did a great job making an American version of that movie,
making it faithful but still very much his own.
Yeah, and
he does a great work. I don't know if it's based off a book, but he does a great job with Seven.
Mm-hmm.
And people shit on Alien 3. Alien 3 is not that bad.
No, it's not Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, it's not. It's certainly not as bad as everything that came post Alien 3. It's a decent movie.
Yeah, the director's cut is awful. The extended
so the more
edition.
Faithful David Fincher version's worse.
I don't know.
Well, that one suffered from a lack of technology. Like if you've gotten the quadrilogy like pack or whatever the hell it's called, that has like the extra half hour added onto it. It's bad, but mostly because they tried to do a lot of CGI, because they wanted to do things in the Alien or with the Xenomorph that they couldn't do with a man in a rubber suit because the rubber suit just wasn't cool enough. Mm-hmm. So they were like, okay, we'll do it with CGI, and then they were like, oh, it's the early '90s, CGI still sucks. Okay, we're just going to scrap this half-hour segment of the alien running around, eating these people, and just do all the like tight close-ups and the, foggy, wide shots and stuff like that.
The thing about Alien 3 that pisses me off is everyone's dead. That you go through all this struggle at the end of Aliens, only for them to be dead at the start of the third one.
Yeah, I actually
and
that was part of an article that I had proposed, which was like movie sequels that kind of fuck over the ending.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
So, and that and like Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
So I don't think Alien 3 is a good movie at all. I mean, I think it's a chapter select movie where you can watch some cool scenes. It's got some great scenes, like when the Xenomorph realizes that, and we're not even totally sure yet if you're watching for the first time, but the Xenomorph knows she's carrying, the queen.
Oh yeah, and doesn't kill her.
It has that great shot where it kind of is like hissing at her. Like that's
the close up.
A lot of times, people talk about alien movies, they're referencing a scene that's in Alien 3, which has, like I said, some great scenes. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think it's a really just boring, drawn out movie. And it suffers kind of like the whole like Godfather thing where you get two great movies in the beginning, and then you get a movie that's a movie, but you compare it to the first two. Like, you compare Alien 3 to Alien and Aliens. No, not even close.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way about The Godfather 3 in that I think Godfather Part 3 is a decent film.
Yeah, I like it more than, like, Alien 3. Like, if we're going by, like, the 3.
Sure. It just doesn't, it pales in comparison to its predecessors.
I always joke it's like, having a Lennon McCartney Harrison thing, and then the third one's a Ringo song. Like, that's kind of like how it is. Like, yeah, they're not bad, but you play a Ringo song after listening to Lennon McCartney or Harrison tune, it's it doesn't usually stack up. And plus, you only have two to choose from. But, like...
I'll take Don't Pass Me By.
I like that one over Octopus's Garden, definitely.
Really? I always loved that. I felt like Octopus's Garden should be like an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. I feel like it would...
The Raffi version, maybe.
Well, either.
I mean, for the first 15 years of my life, I thought that was a Raffi song.
Right.
Out of the two Ringo songs, I like Don't Pass Me By more. But yeah, I mean, I think that Alien 3 suffers from that kind of Godfather thing. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Godfather 3 again, not a great movie, long, sometimes pointless, sometimes very poorly acted, but has some really great scenes in it, like Alien 3 does. And then what was that one thing? Didn't they originally have a teaser for the Alien movie that was supposed to be where they actually go to Earth, and they have an actual teaser where it's Earth, and I can't remember the exact... what I'm talking about there, right?
I know Joss Whedon's version of Alien Resurrection, like his premise was that it was a war, like the Xenomorphs try to invade Earth.
Yeah.
And because of budget constraints or whatever, they're like, let's just have another alien run around, except he's like a white alien this time, and he runs around on a fucking ship.
Well, I know that the original...
Joke's on you. The aliens were already here.
the alien in the alien death at the end of Resurrection, where it gets sucked out of the thing. That's cool. That's how the ending was supposed to be for the original Alien movie, but of course it didn't have the budget or the technology to have that look. Resurrection, pretty terrible.
Oh, I mean, terrible.
It's the only thing, every time that movie is on, the one thing I think about is that shot where Sigourney Weaver makes the behind-the-look basket on the first take, and Ron Perlman almost ruins the take because he looks, he's shocked that she makes it in one take. It also has maybe the craziest, and I don't mean best, but craziest chestburster multiple death scene where the guy has the chestburster and like Sigourney Weaver's like, oh, by the way, you have a chestburster in you in a couple minutes, hours. They never specify how long it takes.
Yeah.
It's going to bust out, rip through your thing and kill you. And he sticks someone's head in front of his chest, so the thing busts out of his chest and then through the person's head. I just remember that's one of the when someone says Alien Resurrection, I think of like the end, the behind the look basket, and that double kill chestburster scene. And Winona Ryder.
That's right. Just being in that movie. So
Gone Girl.
Gone Girl, fantastic film.
You got Alien Resurrection from that somehow.
So I was reading it as they were announcing like who's acting in it and all that stuff. Like I basically read it during filming.
Okay. Was that something that you were like, I'm going to read this book, or you heard that like they're making a movie and you wanted to check it out?
My mom had been telling me about the book. And while I was researching, trying to find the audiobook online, I think I stumbled upon it being
made
turned into a movie. And I remember, so there's a lawyer in it, played by Tyler Perry, who does an amazing job in a dramatic role. I know Tyler Perry from like the Medea movies, even though I've never seen any
Star Trek.
I've never seen any Medea movie, but like that's how, like when I think Tyler Perry, I think that. So like seeing him in a serious role, I was like, wow, he's really good. And it's funny, he plays like a sleazy lawyer, and I think because I had just finished watching Breaking Bad. Like I just instantly was like Saul, that guy. I wanted Oberman.
Yeah.
I wanted him. Like in my head while I was listening to it, I was like,
Saul Odenkirk, or what's his name?
Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk.
Thank you.
Mr. Show. Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, I always forget his name, but like in my head, that was who the lawyer was. And I'm about halfway through the book when they announced that Tyler Perry is the lawyer, and I'm like, what? Medea, really? The lawyer? And then like the next like scene in the story has his that character's wife in a scene, and she's described as like a robust black woman. And so instantly my mind just locked on Medea playing his wife.
Yeah.
So I was like, yes.
Tyler Perry's Gone Girl.
Yeah. Oddly enough, his wife, she's only in one scene in the book, and she's cut out. Her character's cut out of that scene as it is in the movie, and like kind of rightfully so, because it was kind of unnecessary for her to be in that scene. They just kind of replaced her dialogue with Ben Affleck's character's twin sister, and just kind of went from there. And it didn't really change much, but it was really fun seeing seeing all of this stuff. All the actors were great. Casey Wilson is in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she's...
No way.
I loved her in Happy Endings and pretty much everything that I've seen her in.
Yeah.
And her character is, like, perfect.
I had no idea she was in it. That's cool. I mean, I want to see it anyway.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love her in Happy Endings.
She plays their crazy neighbor. Oh. Who was Amy Dunn's best friend, unbeknownst to Nick Dunn, because Nick thought that she hated Missouri and didn't have any friends and didn't do anything. Which adds more to the mystery of like what was going on. Like, why doesn't Nick know anything about what his wife does? Great story, fun stuff.
How about The Equalizer?
The Equalizer. For some reason, I wasn't really too excited about it. My parents just wanted to hang out and go see a movie. My dad loves Denzel Washington.
It looked like 2 guns minus 1 gun.
Yeah.
Predator 2 minus Riggs.
Yeah.
Stacks.
He's not in that movie.
Yeah, that's that. I just dropped a book. That's why they were going, Stags, where are you?
And he's staring you down because of it.
Well, I'll talk about that later. I'm sure because I did a lot this week.
Yeah, this sounds
Chris did everything.
This was
week.
a Chris week. This episode is going to be
Catching
the
up with
Chris
Chris.
story. I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm Chris, and I'm Chris.
I feel like a lot of times like I do kind of sit back, like I geek out about something, but I usually let you guys talk, or if like Jake and I did something, I let him do a lot of it, and then I just kind of like support every once in a while. So it's nice to be the focus of an episode.
This is a Chris episode.
This is you get to blow out the birthday candles and make a wish.
That's right. That's right. You can order anything you want off the menu.
Yay! I want the teddy bear.
You get a teddy bear off the menu?
Where do they have teddy bears on the menu?
I don't know. I think we just flashed back to a moment in Chris's life where he really wanted a teddy bear.
I think you need to tell me the address of this teddy bear place.
Because you shooed away the teddy bear that was sitting in your chair.
Oh, that's right. There was a teddy bear sitting. There he is. All right, he's sitting with me now.
Yeah, that's the teddy
He's got
bear
a
from my
cupcake.
friend Amanda.
Okay.
It smelled like chocolate for the first 3 months that I had it.
And now it smells like shit.
Oh, it still smells like it smells like
Yeah.
it still smells like chocolate.
Well, Amanda, if you ever start listening to the show, there's a shout out to you. I still have your teddy bear. It smells like chocolate still.
Yeah.
And it's been 6 months. Or no, 8 months. Yeah. The Equalizer. God, I've been talking for half an hour.
The Equalizer
20
starring
minutes.
this
and
teddy
you
bear.
love it.
Yeah, I do. Everyone listen to my voice. I have such a deep, soothing voice. Anyway, so the whoa, just real quick because it's going to bother me if I don't say it. The I want the teddy bear thing is a reference to one of the Charlie's Angels movies. Lucy Liu has a bow and arrow and she's shooting something and she's having a flashback to being at a carnival where she's just pointing and she's like, I want the teddy bear. And she hits a helicopter or whatever the hell she was trying to shoot at with a bow and arrow.
I've never actually seen either of the Charlie's
neither.
Angels
I
movies.
have
Did you
at
ever watch the
least one of
series?
them, possibly both of them, right over there in my DVD collection.
Did you ever watch the TV show?
No.
Okay.
But yeah, Equalizer.
So, so my dad was like, "Oh, I love action movies and I love Denzel Washington. We're going to go see it." And I was like, "Sure. I mean, if you're paying for it, I'll go see it." So we went. It actually ended up being a pretty cool movie. It's kind of a vigilante movie.
It blew up, man. I remember excuse me, when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, just I like Denzel as well, and I'll catch this on when it's out on demand or something, and it just exploded at the box office, and great reviews as well too. It
The
wasn't
majority
just
of Americans are like Chris's dad.
yeah, exactly.
Which great market to shoot for.
Yeah.
So he plays this guy who is very meticulous. The first 20 minutes is just all about his OCD routine of he lives in a very minimalist apartment. He wakes up at 6 o'clock every morning, brushes his teeth, does that whole routine, and then he works at a Home Depot, but not really a Home Depot because they didn't want to pay for the licensing, or Home Depot was like, no, we don't want to be in an action movie.
They pronounced the T in this one, so it's Home Depot. So you can get away
Home
with it.
Depot.
Yeah.
No, they have yellow smocks instead of orange. I think that's what it was. It might be a different color.
I still have my. I think I still have my.
Oh, that's right. You used to work at Home Depot.
I have
right?
I have my shopper's smock still.
I still have my Blockbuster shirt.
So do
It's
I.
not a schmuck.
Yeah.
Schmuck.
You schmuck.
What a
schmuck,
schmuck.
you schmuck.
What a schmuck.
I have my Blockbuster shirt still too.
Let's rock on.
I have a couple Best Buy shirts too.
Yeah.
I have 5 different Best Buy shirts because I was in
Did you work at the Best Buy at Fair Oaks?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. How long?
2 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. Fair Lake Shopping Center though, not Fair Oaks Mall.
Oh, yeah. There's not one in the mall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
They have one of those Best Buy mobiles.
Yeah,
at
they
the
have.
mall.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. They do have that.
I just wanted to clarify that, just in case.
But-
anyone thought
for
that
your
I worked.
resume and your
Yeah.
records, yes.
Yeah. So
As is.
Denzel works at a not Home Depot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where he wears a smock.
Sam's like the bumpers for the gutters on the keep us on track.
Yeah. You take away the fun.
Boys, you talk about Denzel now.
Boys, only I can tangent when we talk about Alien 3. Let's get back to the Equalizer.
So, but he has you can tell that he has a
What a
weird
dick.
I'm flicking you off right now.
Equalize this.
Oh, yeah.
I got your equalizer right here.
Equalize this.
We're all grabbing our testicles. Continue.
So,
Yeah, nice.
thank you. And then so bad things start happening to people that he loves.
For any
Or-
particular reason?
Mostly because of like the Russian mafia. And
They
he
just always gum up the works.
and he takes vengeance upon them. Basically, like it kickstarts. He in the middle of the night he goes down to this diner that's like beneath his apartment or whatever. And he has like tea while he reads. And there's this
Eric Bana.
Yeah, and there's this call girl. I guess that's what a streetwalker. Anyway, escort
Yeah.
of some sort, a lady of the night who
There you go.
has her coffee there, and they have one of those mutual we go to the same diner kind of relationships. Kind of like what we had with the lady at 7-Eleven who, she
We still have that.
Yeah, even though she hasn't been there for
Yeah,
like
we
a
haven't
month.
seen her in a while.
Yeah, it's but one of those things where it was just kind of that mutual, like, oh hey, I see you all the time.
Yeah.
We make stupid little side comments like, he's reading like
Kind of like Sam Stone in Nathan Edmondson's Punisher run, where the cop that they go to like a diner every morning, and there's a cop there, and who talks to Frank, and they're just having like their eggs or whatever, and the cop's name is Sam Stone. The female cop's name.
They're totally going to
Sure.
bump and grind by like issue 15.
Bump and grind.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind.
No.
The Wild
Have
Women,
you ever?
Wild
Have you
Women.
ever?
Ripping and the tearing, the ripping and the
We
tearing.
need to make sure if we ever like Nathan Edmondson's ever at a con, or just we should tweet him and let him know that like I think I
I'm-
did tweet him once that like
I meant to talk to him he was at AwesomeCon in DC back in April.
Yeah.
And I saw him I went both that Saturday and Sunday, and I saw him that Saturday, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't bring any of your books. I didn't talk to him. I saw him from a distance, and he looked so bored because nobody else was talking, and I was like, fuck.
He's like a really cool. He's one of those dudes on Twitter that
Yeah.
talks to you all the time. Not all
Yeah.
the time, but
Yeah.
he'll have a conversation.
But yeah, I was totally
like
like
Greg Capullo.
Yeah,
I'm-
Greg Capullo is awesome.
I'm going to bring him or Mark Waid, and I'm
Yeah.
going to bring him all my books. I'm going to talk to him and be like, hey, I can't wait until the Punisher fucks me. And
I was so excited when I found out the name was Sam Stone.
Oh, me too.
Because it was last name was Stone, and I was like, "It's Sam's a girl's name."
And
So man,
I remember I sent him a tweet
Stone.
once, and I was like, "Hey, I love the Punisher now is wearing like a mask, like the Death's Head kind of skull mask. Like it's
Yeah.
awesome." And I sent him a thing, and I was like, "Hey, please tell me he's gonna keep that on. I think it's really cool because I'm really liking the run." And he writes back, "Ask nicely." Or ask nicer. And I was like, pretty please. Like just ridiculous 140 character,
Pretty
sugar on top,
pleases,
whatever.
yeah.
And he was like, all right, fine.
But I went back on Sunday with Black Widow and Punisher books, and I was like, oh yeah, Nathan Edmondson's going to sign my books, and I'm going to congratulate him on creating a female cop version of me that the Punisher's totally going to punish. And
Punish that pussy.
and he wasn't there. He wasn't at his table.
He was so sad that no one came to talk to him on
Yeah.
Saturday that he didn't come back for Sunday.
Apparently not. So the Equalizer.
Yeah, I wonder if he saw the Equalizer.
So some dude roughs up the girl, and then
First mistake, last
Yeah.
mistake.
No, just first mistake, and then her pimp roughs her up so bad that she has to go to the hospital.
Uh-oh.
So then he's like, big mistake.
This
Yeah.
is a job for Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he goes to he tracks down where the Russian guys hang out, who is her pimp. It's like a thing with the Russian mob and human trafficking and fun stuff like that. And just fucks them up. And then it just keeps escalating. He finds out that one of his coworkers at the Home Depot, his mom owns a hole in the wall chicken place or whatever, and they get roughed up because they're not paying their bribes to cops.
Okay.
So he fucks up the cops and gets them to give the money back and stop taking bribes and stuff like that. And
He keeps everything equal.
he equalizes thing.
How are his EQ levels?
He Great, never clips like you.
Oh, damn. I aspire to his example.
Well, the thing is,
He
like Sam
he
will,
runs into diners and throws sugar into people's coffee.
Sam will lean back because, like, like he's sitting on a couch, and so he kind of, when one of us are talking, he kind of just sits and listens, and then he gets excited about something and like runs into the mic and just goes balls to the wall.
Yeah,
Swallows the mic as is the lingo.
I do. I have a lot of practice swallowing. Anyway, continue with
Finally
the
a
Equalizer story.
lump in your throat that's not a microphone.
Yeah, wow. Flip the script on that one.
Yeah. Well, because like on whatever social media it was, you were like, I had posted like, oh, find out what Sam's new catchphrase is, and you're like, I don't know if it's really my new catchphrase, guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right. That would probably suck if it got overused. So I decided to switch it up.
Yeah.
Were you about to say to lube it?
No.
Okay.
So about Alien
to
3.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like the Equalizer, it just keeps escalating, and then like the Russian mafia sends, like one of their cleanup guys to try to take care of them, and Denzel, like in many Denzel Washington movies, suffers the disease of ultimate badass and just cannot be killed, and it culminates in this awesome shootout in the Home Depot.
Does he use a nail gun?
Yes, he does.
Oh,
wow.
Spoilers.
Murtaugh style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
no, it's pretty awesome.
James Bond in Casino Royale.
Yeah. Cool
or
guys
Denzel in The Equalizer.
Oh, nice.
How many people does he equalize with the nail gun?
How many people does he nail?
I think just one.
Well, Murtaugh kills 2, right?
But he's like,
Oh, yeah.
he
but
kills
he's like
2.
a sniper with a nail gun.
Spit.
Go suck an egg.
Yeah, but it's really good.
Yeah.
But like you were kind of alluding to, you also did a live table read or something?
No, okay, so it was like a Q&A. So I'm sure many of our audience will know of the existence of a little movie called The Room.
So bad, it's so bad.
It's been called It's been called the Citizen Kane of bad movies. It was written, produced, directed, and stars Tommy Wiseau and co-stars Greg Sestero, who is a real actor. He's actually been in I forget which soap opera, but a soap opera, and he was in Retro Puppet Master, probably the worst of the Puppet Master franchise. But yeah, so Greg Sestero has this great story about how like he has known Tommy Wiseau for like 15 years now. Movie's about 10 years old. They met in an acting class, and Greg was living with Tommy for a while. He decided to write this script, which originally was supposed to be a live play. Hands it to Greg, and Greg's inner monologue is, "This is terrible. It's so bad it's funny. I want to see this happen." So like hands it back to him, and he's like, "It's perfect." And then like 2 years later, they're producing a movie, and Tommy like forces him to act in it, and he's like, "Whatever, fine. No one's gonna see this. I'll do it." And then I haven't gotten that far in the book yet. Apparently, it's kind of explained in the book how Tommy got all of this money, but he's sitting on piles of money, in order to finance making this movie and getting it distributed and stuff like that. He basically did everything himself. And the 5-second
American dream. Man.
Yeah, the 5-second film school guys saw it and like forced all of their friends to see it, and then it like just spread like wildfire, and now it's like some crazy nouveau Rocky Horror Picture Show cult classic that like here in the DC area, E Street Cinemas does like a monthly viewing of it, and people go and yell things at the screen, throw plastic spoons, throw footballs because there's football in it.
I feel like the AFI Theater at Silver Spring also does stuff with it.
Whenever like a special showing comes to town, they go to Silver Spring at the AFI Theater, because that's where I was. That's where I was for the book thing, the Q&A this weekend, and a couple years ago, they were going to do like a dramatic reading of the script, And then, like, at the last minute, they were like, you know what? We're going to do a live performance of it. So they hired, like, 5 more actors. Like, originally it was just going to be Tommy and Greg reading from the script. Then they hired a bunch more actors to come in and act out the other parts. And it was beautiful because, like, Tommy is crazy. And, like, only gave them, like, 1 week to rehearse and expected everyone to be off book by the end of the first day for the entire script. He wasn't even off book, and he wrote it. There were several times in the play where he kind of paused, and like everyone in the audience is like a diehard fan and knows the script, backward and forward, and they would yell out the next line. And he would be like, "Oh yeah, I know."
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
It has some of the weirdest dialogue, and it's all because he is he's not he's English as a second language, if it's even the second language. So in his head he's translating it to like 12 different languages
he
to
looks
understand.
Vaguely Transylvanian.
I believe he is Vlad the Impaler, also known as Count Dracula.
Lord Dracula.
Yeah. And I think he's pulling a Queen of the Damned, and he decided to wake up and become famous. Much like, I think it's Lestat.
Lestat, yeah.
Wakes up and becomes the lead singer of a death metal band.
Which I think, and you know who provides the vocals for him in Queen of the Damned?
Isn't it Danzig?
It's
or the lead singer of H2O?
That's Jonathan Davis.
Or Type. Oh, really? Oh, okay.
From Korn.
Yeah. I could have just kept going through all these different bands. Typo Negative was going to be the next one. Unfortunately, I don't know most of their names. But yeah, so anyway, so I'm at this book Q&A with Greg Sestero. And because I'm embarrassingly punctual to almost everything, and I had nothing to do on Friday, I got there like 3 hours early.
Is that punctual, though, or is that just being there 3 hours early?
It's probably just trying to avoid the traffic to Silver Spring.
Yeah, that too. I beat rush hour. I got there. I got to Silver Spring before rush hour started, and this thing wasn't starting until 7:30.
Jeez.
Yeah. I basically pulled a reverse Sam Stone because Sam Stone's late to everything.
I'm like the Flash.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna let that stick.
Barry Allen, late to everything. That's the joke.
We'll let it go.
Yeah, it's true.
Yes, it is.
As Sam fixes his invisible bow tie.
Yeah, like Barry Allen.
Yeah. But so I'm sitting there for like 3 hours. My friend Mike, who was going with me, he also, like, he knew I was going to be there early, so he's like, okay, I'll try to get there as early as possible, but I have a job. So I ended up staying there for an hour, just reading the book, because I had nothing better to do. And it was a good way to pass the time. He gets there, and the two of us are just hanging out there for like an hour, and then Greg Sestero walks by. And we're like, oh, hey, what's going on? We talked, and it was really cool because he was like in the middle of reading Gone Girl, and he was excited about seeing the movie soon. So he and I talked about Gone Girl for a little while because I'm a big fan. And then Greg, like halfway through us talking, Greg looks at me. He's like, hey, wait a minute. You were here for that the live show we did, a couple years back, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, aren't you the guy that yelled the Craigslist thing? And I was like, oh my God, he remembers me. There was some part, I forget exactly what the context was, but like, he like is just like, man, where did you find all these people or something like that? And I just blurted out, Craigslist, because that's where you find serial killers looking for the next victims.
The more you know. The more you know.
Yeah.
And it
doesn't make my work easier.
It made him break character because it was so funny to him, and he was giggling, and like he remembers it. And whenever he talks about doing the live show at Silver Spring, because that was like the only place that they ever did it. So I'm really lucky. I was one of two audiences.
I didn't know that we had such a big hardcore room.
Oh well, no, I think
here in Silver Spring.
I don't think that's what it is. I think it was just like we were the first stop on that tour, and they were like, "Oh, let's try it," and they realized how terrible it was, so they were like, "Let's not do that ever again."
Oh well, there it goes.
Sorry, I didn't, but I didn't want you to have a fake bubble of pride. I want if you're going to be proud of something, I want it to be real.
I appreciate your candor. I
Yeah.
appreciate your candor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he recognized you.
Yeah, he recognized me, and that was great. And then I got this poster that's hanging behind Sam now.
It's staring at me like he won't quit.
I can feel its eyes in my head.
It's basically like a mashup of or it's supposed to kind of be like a room poster that looks like it's supposed to be like Game of Thronesy, but then it also has like a smiley face.
The Watchman smiley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
Watchman
a Watchman
minus the
smiley
blood.
face on top of Tommy Wiseau's face. It's so weird. I was like, I need it.
It's
I
super
had to
weird.
have it.
How is the Q&A itself?
That was pretty good. I mean, Greg Sestero is great. He's got a lot of funny stories. I mean, you could tell that like a lot of the answers that he had were like prepared and stuff like that, which I kind of didn't like, but at the same time I was like, well, I'm sure he gets asked the same questions over and over again, so he knows exactly what he's going to say each time. And then of course there's always going to be someone that asks a question that in their mind they think is a unique question, but it's literally almost the exact same thing that someone else already asked. They just use the word, famous instead of wealthy or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
So it ends up basically being the same answer that he already gave, and it's like, Tommy Wiseau talks like this, But it was really fun, and Greg hates it when people reference Retro Puppet Master. Actually, he doesn't hate it, but when one person said something about Retro Puppet Master, and he was like, like he thinks that's a worse movie than The Room.
Wow.
Like you can tell, but probably because it doesn't have the cult
fan
following.
base, yeah.
I'm sure if Retro Puppet Master had become the famous one and not The Room, he would do the same thing.
Yeah.
But he and also he talked about it. He was like, that was one of my first acting gigs, and I was really excited because it was like a leading role in a movie that was part of a franchise, and I really put a lot of effort into it, and it just ended up being a bad movie. Like, I think he's more upset about how much he put into it versus like The Room, where he says that he went into it knowing that it was going to be a shit show. So
there's takes kept in the film where you can see him visibly rolling his eyes at the dialogue he just delivered.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories, it's just speaking of the production of The Room, is that Tommy Wiseau wanted to be the first the first director to direct something in both 35 millimeter and digital, like high definition digital format. So what he did was he bought, didn't rent, which is very rare in the film industry. He bought two cameras, one 35 millimeter camera, one high def camera, and had a mount built so that they could sit side by side, so he could shoot literally simultaneously in both formats.
Which leads to some weird shots.
Yeah, because there are clearly shots where it jumps back and forth between one camera or the other, each time it returns to that angle. And you had to have two different crews working both cameras because they're both that drastically different. One of the crews was clearly not as good as the other crew because there are some shots that are very much out of focus. But for some reason, he preferred those shots, so he kept them in the movie. It's... God. But the reason why it's my favorite story is because the idea that because he had those two cameras, one day we might get a 3D version of The Room. And if that's possible, I would love to volunteer my services as a 3D movie editor to make that happen. So, Tommy, Greg, if you're listening, what's up?
I get that Tommy Wiseau in glorious 3 dimensions.
Oh my god! That rubbery skin.
Ugh.
It looks like the muscle suit that Weird Al was wearing in the Rambo segments for UHF the movie.
And it looks like it's aged just as much.
It looks like it's the same suit.
Yeah. 20 years later.
Yeah. So that was my wild week. I also have a job now. Did we talk about that?
We did.
Yeah.
Anything interesting happen at it this week?
No, I only worked one day. I only worked last night. That was all I did. Although, fun little story. You know how you didn't go to karaoke this week?
I did not. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had
Or
said
at least that Friday.
yeah, and I had said that I wasn't. I probably wasn't going to make it because I was going to that Greg Sestero thing, the room thing. I ended up. So I rode the metro back into Virginia to get my car at the Fairfax station, and I got to my car and I was like, oh my god, I'm about to explode. I really need to pee. And you guys know the trek back to my house is like a good half hour.
Oh yeah,
if not more.
Through a lot of stoplights.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. I have one option: piss right here next to my car. Nope, there are too many people here in the parking lot still. I would feel uncomfortable doing that. 2, go to the bar that I work at because it's only like 5 minutes away from this place. I know they're still open, and they'll let me in just to pee. So that's what I did. Not knowing that you weren't there, like I thought maybe I'll run into Sam. Maybe he did go, and maybe he's still there.
I went to a ball game on Friday, yeah.
Yeah. I ended up getting there, peeing, and then like hanging out at the bar and staying, hanging out with my new coworkers until like 4 o'clock in the morning because they were just chilling there at the bar talking.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that ball game. And not the one on Friday, but the one on Saturday.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's over 6 hours.
Yeah,
18 innings.
longest post-game
or postseason
game in history.
Mm-hmm.
They had it on at the bar while I was working.
Biggest disappointment ever if you saw it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, sports, man.
Oh man.
Yeah. Always choke on the playoff.
When what's his name hit that home run, the guy from San Francisco.
Yeah.
I wasn't following their names. I was just following the teams. But when he hit that home run, I was like, damn.
The thing about it wasn't a sudden death game because they had the bottom of the ninth or the bottom of the 18th to do something. The thing that's like the worst is I was talking to someone today just about any of your favorite sports teams in a sudden death or like an elimination game. It's the worst thing because I remember watching. I'm a Red Wings fan, and watching them. They were playing the Pittsburgh Penguins a couple years ago, and it went to triple overtime. It was like 2 a.m, sudden death, and the Penguins scored a goal and they won. And I was sitting in my chair, and you go through a couple different levels. The first level is that didn't happen, and there's a penalty.
Denial.
There's a penalty that's going to happen, and they're going to take the goal away, and the games can still go on because there's no way I just sat here for hours and hours on end and we lost. Like the thing that I wanted to happen, it's so like this like selfish fan thing.
Dodgeball style.
Yes.
Well, there's a penalty.
And then the second thing is anger because you're like, what the hell? And then the third thing is like this silent.
There's actually 7 stages of this.
There's thing where
5
you just,
actually.
Or 5? Is that what it is?
The Kubler-Ross model.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
sure,
no.
why
For
not?
sports, there's just 3. And then there's this. You sit there, and it's just this silent, weird thing that
There's no
happens where
bargaining.
usually you turn the TV off, and you just sit in darkness for what feels like an eternity. And you're just like, what the hell? And eventually it kind of passes. But like I was, with the Nats game.
But you still never accepted it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I still think about it. I think I'm like, man, remember that fucking time the Red Wings lost in triple overtime? Like, no, and I can't talk about it because I wasn't sitting there with anyone. I was in the basement by myself. I do remember one time the Giants won, the New York Giants. They won a game in overtime. And I was on the first floor of the house. I was still living at home at the time. And the Giants won. Everyone was in bed because it was like midnight. And I took my shirt off and I started running around in circles like, yeah, like, doing the tornado with the shirt. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like I couldn't scream because everyone was asleep. So I was doing the silent scream. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I terrified one of the cats. It was sleeping. It got up and just bolted out of there. It was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And there was like that moment, like slow-mo while I'm twirling the shirt over my head. And I'm like, what am I doing? and then I look over and I see Eli Manning, doing the classic, hands up, and then the yeah, like the kind of like Tiger Woods, like yeah. And I was like, oh no, yeah, this is awesome. But yeah, man, I don't know. The sports, especially those long drawn out games, man. are killer, especially when what you want to happen doesn't.
The game I watched
happen.
went over 4 hours, and that only ran for 9 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I had to double check the rules because one of the servers and I were chatting about he was really pissed off because he had a huge table that wouldn't leave, wouldn't pay their check until the game was over, and he was like, I was supposed to be cut like an hour ago, and they're still here, so I can't leave. And I had to double check the rules. I was like, I can't remember what the rule is on killing a baseball game in a tie, and I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, okay. The only way that you can end a baseball game in a tie is if the game has to be called by force majeure. So if the weather goes bad and they have to stop play, it can end in a tie for that. But otherwise, it keeps going until a team wins.
I think the other
for the most part.
The other condition is if both bullpens are empty. Because remember when that All-Star game ended in a tie 10 years ago or so?
Or
did they change the rules?
I've seen teams. It's weird because a lot of people are on two different schools of this. Where it's do you use your pitchers now to win the game and face the rest of your rotation being screwed, or do you cautiously play this game, possibly lose to keep your rotation intact for the rest of the series? So I've seen times where they put the third baseman in and they have him pitch the rest of the game.
Seriously?
Yeah. It just depends. Do you win it now, or do you possibly win tomorrow? And the majority rule that I see with the commentators and analysts and stuff is win the game now because there's not always going to be that tomorrow game. So yeah, they burned through 8 pitchers or something yesterday. I mean, it was crazy.
They went through a lot of pitchers on Friday too.
Yeah.
A lot of pinch hitting.
So
ripping and tearing.
Wild.
Probably there probably was ripping and tearing
of ligaments.
Well, I mean, throwing a baseball is the most unnatural motion you can do.
Yeah, it's
so
ridiculous. I pitched for a season.
That's how I throw darts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the most unnatural, because softball.
It's either that or the weirdest
softball.
Little hand flick, like a card flick.
Yeah, me throwing darts is
it
could be
it's an
potentially
art form.
Yeah. Also
it's
potentially
beautiful.
dangerous.
Jake is always in kind of disbelief because my darts kind of wobble sideways.
And it's not slow-mo because they're moving that slow. They're going parallel to the wall, and then somehow at the last second they move and get stuck on the wall. But
if you ever have the opportunity, play darts with Sam.
Yeah.
Just to watch him throw a dart.
The fastball special. He's not throwing Wolverine, but he's throwing a dart at the wall. So he's also not Colossus.
I got the reference. I got the reference.
I know. Yeah, I could tell Chris's face was.
There's for Chris.
I mean, I get it now.
Yeah.
Now that it's been fully explained. I was like, oh yeah, there's that scene in X-Men.
The Last Stand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, The Last Stand, where he's like, Tin Man, or whatever the hell he says.
He calls him Tin Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, and he throws him and then into the cloud, and then you see a Sentinel head drop down.
Though it's the most awkward throw in the movie.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comics, he just kind of picks him up and chucks him.
I always
as hard
loved
as he
you
can.
could do it in the X-Men Legends games too. Which is awesome.
I like how my impression of Wolverine was more cartoon Wolverine than Hugh Jackman.
This is for you, Morph. We've already referenced that episode and that quote. Yeah. So I mean, it was an okay game.
Yeah, bub.
I mean,
Ugh.
I can tell though. I feel like there's gonna be certain people in our listenership that are like, oh fuck, this is a geek show. You shouldn't talk about sports. And
Why are they talking about baseball again?
And it's like, you know what? People can geek out about sports.
Yeah, this
too.
isn't all.
We are equal opportunity in our geeking.
Yeah, anything.
And
you
we talked
can
about
geek out
Derek
on.
Jeter. Or what?
Yeah.
Was it
last week?
That was it last week?
Yeah. So for all you people
and you
that
geek
don't
out
think
on
we should,
Kiss all the time.
yeah,
Jake.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is an equal opportunity geek show. If you don't think we
at
can
least-
geek
at
out
least-
about sports, go fuck yourself.
At least we waited till the end, so all you nerds can get listen listen to me talk about Gone Girl and the Equalizer.
Me and Jake talk about how Alien 3 is not as bad.
It's the that's yeah. That's Alien 3.
That is Alien
Sam,
3.
who's your favorite Grant Morrison character?
The Xenomorph.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of Xenomorphs, they just released this week a new game for the PC called Alien.
It's getting rave reviews.
Yeah, Alien Isolation. It's a game where you're Ellen Ripley's daughter, and you go out searching for her mom.
Who is only referenced in a deleted scene from Aliens.
That's right. And so she goes
I
out.
may geek out on that.
You may. And she goes out to find her mom or what happened to her mom on the Nostromo. And she finds out that, she's on a space station there's only one xenomorph, just like in the first film.
Classic.
And it's stalking her in this space station.
Mm-hmm.
And
is it only PC?
At this point, I think it's only PC.
And it's one of those ones where all you have is a flashlight, right?
Like, you can scare away, you can, like, drive away the xenomorph with a flamethrower.
Mm-hmm.
Classic.
But you can't kill it. It'll come back.
Real quick, favorite Alien movie? Sam, go.
Probably here's the thing.
That's a loaded question.
It's a loaded question, and I'm about to give a loaded answer.
Okay, I was hoping it would just be Aliens, Alien 3. It's Alien 3, right?
No.
Alien 3 is your favorite film.
No.
Okay, Chris.
No, same response.
Alien 3? Okay. Mine's Alien.
I teeter on the edge between Alien and Aliens all the time.
Well,
yeah. Growing up, it was always Aliens.
Yeah,
because it's the action movie, it's the fun movie.
They're a threat you can handle in Aliens.
Yeah, but
arguably.
then as I became
Not for
like
Bill Paxton.
Yeah. Game over, man. Game over. 2 weeks. We're not gonna last 2 hours, man. Oh man, a bug hunt.
But yeah, but as you got older,
as I got older and I went through film school, I got a better appreciation for what went into making Alien. And I rewatched it, while I was in film school, and I was like, oh my god, this movie isn't boring at all. It's amazing.
Oh yeah,
it's beautiful, and stuff is actually going on. Like, it's not just we're boring out in space.
Yeah, we're just hanging around on a ship. Yeah.
Oh, hey, look, the last 5 minutes there's an alien. No, like, there's actually shit happening, and like, and they borrowed equipment from The Who.
Yeah, damn right.
And I'll do it again.
They did 2 more times, 3 more times. But
so right now I'm teetering on like nostalgia versus respect for the art, and that could be either Alien or Aliens.
The thing is, Aliens is at once like one of the best and worst things to happen to xenomorphs, right? It's a really entertaining film, great sci-fi action adventure film, but it kind of defangs or demystifies the xenomorph a bit, right? Because they can take out shitloads of xenomorphs in Aliens.
Yeah. They have more weapons and they're better prepared for it too.
They have weapons.
Yeah, but one of the things,
if you had a machine gun on the Nostromo, which would be a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be as difficult. But yes, I do agree that it kind of demystifies the...
It's kind of like the Borg in Star Trek. Like, when they show up in The Next Generation or First Contact, it's all hands on deck. Like, it's like, oh, fuck, the Borg. You get to Star Trek Voyager, where they straight up, start to, negotiate with the Borg and occasionally team up with the Borg. And it's
7 of 9.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, well, they're not as intimidating anymore because we know more about them. They're not, the novelty's gone.
Well, at least we never teamed up with the xenomorphs
yet.
Yeah.
But
good time.
Yeah,
Rocky 8.
So one of the things I love about Isolation, most of the development time went into just developing the xenomorph. It can hear you, it can see you. Like, if you knock over, it's to the point where you can knock over stuff on desks, and if it hears that, it's going to zero in on you. It can hear you run. It's fucking crazy. It's fucking bananas, man.
You know what's hilarious about that? This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it has something to do with bananas.
I love bananas.
Yeah, you do.
The news and the rumor on the street is the whole idea of that if they're going to make an Iron Man 4, Robert Downey Jr. will only do it if Mel Gibson directs. And they asked him about that, and he goes, all I know is if this happens, the movie will be bananas. And that's his official statement on Iron Man 4 if Mel Gibson directs. It will be bananas.
Oh, wow.
So Sam's already bought a ticket for that
I'm
one.
glad me and Robert Downey Jr. used the same terminology for fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's bananas.
You and all the guys on How Did This Get Made podcast.
Oh, we like to use bananas?
Yeah.
I also like to use animal crackers, but I don't use that as much because it's a harder setup. It's it's just straight up animal crackers.
Also, I've realized, talking to people about, because obviously if anyone's listening to this, I'm a big Mel Gibson fan. Nobody knows that Mel Gibson directed anything. I was talking to people about it, the comic shop, and I'm like, yeah, wouldn't that be, it'd be awesome if Mel Gibson directed Iron Man 4. He's a great director. And I get the same look, what has he directed? I'm like, fucking Braveheart, Passion of the Christ, Apocalypto, The Man Without a Face. and I can understand like The Man Without a Face is probably his least well known because it was his first one. It's a great movie, but and they're like, oh, we directed Braveheart. It's like, yes, let everyone in the cosmos know Mel Gibson fucking directed Braveheart. You know what I mean? Like,
won the Academy Award for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think it was his first movie because it had the same kind of like, here comes an actor directing a movie and he wins, kind of like Costner, a la Dances with Wolves. But
if only Costner had directed Waterworld.
He apparently directed all the reshoots.
Yeah.
Who knows how much of that of the film it was though?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm all for Mel Gibson directing Iron Man 4.
I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
I personally think they're gonna like Robert Downey Jr.'s last appearance as Tony Stark. Anyway, is gonna be like he's contracted for the third Avengers film. I wouldn't be surprised if Age of Ultron, if you haven't heard the premise and you don't want to hear it, like plug your ears, I guess.
Go listen to watch the Mad Max trailer.
Yeah. But the basic premise is, as kind of teed up by Iron Man 2, he creates an AI. Or Iron Man 3, sorry. All he does in Iron Man 2 is drink and fight Mickey Rourke.
Dance to Daft
really
Punk.
Drink.
Yeah, and dance to Daft Punk. Fight to Daft Punk.
Yeah. Robot Rock.
Yeah.
I think it's, yes. I mean, that makes sense.
It is indeed.
Okay. And
But,
sitting on a giant donut.
Yeah, in a giant donut. But, yeah.
Life goal right there for me.
Sit in a giant donut.
Do you want to be wearing the Iron Man armor when you're doing it, or just sitting in it?
That would just make it
the icing on the donut?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, so he creates...
Well done there.
He creates Ultron, and Ultron, of course, is this, like, homicidal robot, like all AI robots. And he's basically like, I feel like he's got to pay for creating Ultron some way. So they're either going to arrest him at the end of Age of Ultron, or
he's actually going to sacrifice himself like they teased at the end of Avengers.
Maybe, but he is contracted for a third Avengers film. But that's why we won't see an Iron Man 4 as part of the post Age of Ultron solo movies. It certainly makes sense anyway. And then when they're faced with like Thanos, they're like, okay, we need you to take on this big purple man. Because when you're faced with a big purple man, you need Iron Man.
I'm psyched at the idea of them like really pushing the Inhumans. That
Yeah,
could be super awesome.
Yeah, it should be cool.
Are any of you guys watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Because I've heard that there's a chance that they might start planting the seeds of the Inhumans on the TV show.
Like that was the alien technology that resurrected Coulson?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, that's what I've heard.
I haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. since like the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
I have been keeping up to date with it.
Fantastic.
And I have heard those same rumors, but I haven't seen anything come of it.
Come what may.
Come what may.
So check it.
What is that from? Now it's stuck in my head. Come what may.
Come what may? I thought it was from Moulin Rouge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so I'm recording. Ooh, wow. This conversation went a little longer than usual. Some might say twice as long. So maybe we're going to split this one into 2 different weeks. Mainly, 1, because it's a long conversation, and 2, because maybe me and Chris are going to be out of town during our next taping session. So tune in next week, true believers, for the next installment where I talk about more sexual fantasies, and Jake talks about his love of Prince and He-Man, which is kind of like a sexual fantasy, and then Chris just talks about horror movies, which is definitely a sexual fantasy. Bye.